Great. Well, we are right at 10 o'clock and we are recording today's live webinar. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's free webinar on how you can revolutionize your video surveillance and remote monitoring solutions with eSIM technology. Today's webinar is brought to you by Teal, a wholly owned, patented eSIM platform that helps you connect your video surveillance solutions onto any network worldwide, over the air, just a few clicks of a button, so that you can save money and help to streamline your operations. My name is Rob Monkman. I am the CMO here at Teal, and I'm really excited to share how we're helping some leading video surveillance companies, much like you guys, who are tuning in. And to that end, I'd love to jump into it. Cellular video has really been a game changer. And let me just share my screen here. Make sure I can pull this up. But yeah, so cellular powered video cameras have emerged as a game changer in the surveillance industry, offering really unparalleled versatility in monitoring various remote environments. And today we'll be delving into how these various video solutions are harnessing the benefits of eSIM technology to help companies like yours ensure uninterrupted connectivity across the globe. So just really quickly want to jump into an overview of what we're going to be covering today. So today we'll be looking at some of the various ways that video surveillance solutions are enhancing security across various industries. We're going to take a look at some of the most common connectivity challenges that are faced by remote monitoring solutions today, and how we can overcome those challenges with eSIM. So we want to give an introduction to eSIM. We know that many of you already have heard about or may know about eSIM, but there are different flavors of eSIM. And sometimes when we're talking to people, we realize that sometimes people have different concepts of what eSIM or EUICC truly is. We'll get into the benefits of eSIM as it relates to video surveillance and remote monitoring, and then we'll take a look at some specific use cases of technologies in the wild that are leveraging eSIM today to help to streamline their operations and to ensure uninterrupted connectivity, no matter where their solutions are located, whether that's across the United States, worldwide, even in some remote locations. And then we'll open it up for some Q&A. And I hope that this will be a short but valuable session for all of you out there. So let's jump into it. The video surveillance market size was in 2021 valued at $21 billion, and that's growing quite rapidly. And it's projected to be worth $57 billion by 2030. So massive market space that you all are in. It's estimated that there's over 100 million security cameras just in the U.S. alone. So, this is an area of rapid innovation, rapid development, and we really see video being used across many different sectors today. Obviously, the picture here is focusing on law enforcement. And so whether or not you see cameras in the vehicle, you see body cameras being used by police women and men across the United States and various parts of the world. And we're also seeing it in retail environments to prevent theft. And also to make sure that employees are doing their jobs and doing what they're supposed to do. We sometimes see these remote solutions that are being placed in parking lots. And that's to help to prevent against nefarious and criminal activity, not just happening in the parking lots, but also any types of criminal types of situations that could arise in the retail stores, the shopping centers themselves. There are also beyond visual line of sight drones that today are being used by first responders. So you hear of drones as a first responder, that's able to get to emergencies quickly and rapidly surveil a location. These drones definitely need to be connected reliably to the best networks, no matter where they're being deployed. Drones are obviously also used for Department of Defense types of purposes, but also in the commercial sense, they're being used for commercial surveillance, surveilling, power lines and rooftops and things like this. We also see different types of remote cameras that are being affixed to the sides of barns or fences or even trees, and these can be used to surveil and monitor wildlife. Again, prevent against any criminal and nefarious types of activities. And then we're also seeing these remote solutions being used to monitor big depots where trucks are being parked or fleets are being trucked to monitor and prevent against vehicle theft, and things of this nature. So really, video continues to evolve and to be ever present in our daily lives, and has proven to be a great deterrent to prevent against nefarious activities. So one thing that all of these types of solutions have in common is that cellular cameras need to be reliably connected, and they need to be reliably connected all the time. Cameras are what we would call mission critical. So these aren't solutions that can afford to be down for any given period of time. You can imagine at a shopping center or retail environment, if a camera fails to capture criminal activity when it's happening, then it's not doing its job. And not only that, it's going to prevent against a rapid response time from police to arrive to that location, to help to prevent things from getting even worse. And so across the board, our customers, they come from many different industries, but we found that they typically run into some common challenges. One is customers like you need to ensure reliable connectivity onto these cellular networks, or rather redundancy. And one thing that we're seeing as a solution today is many customers are engaging with multiple connectivity providers. So what we see oftentimes are multi-SIM solutions where there may be multiple carrier agreements, multiple SIM slots and modems in a solution to give those cameras that redundancy that's needed. So you may have one SIM card that's connected on Verizon. I'm just using some examples here. One SIM card that's connected onto Vodafone, and that gives you pretty good coverage in the U.S. or in Europe. But we all know that one network doesn't cover the entire U.S. the way it should, or similarly in Europe or Asia, or wherever your solutions are being deployed. So redundancy is a key, but also managing multiple connectivity vendors. Not only are you having to negotiate different contracts and agreements, but you're also now having to manage multiple SIM SKUs. And so that's both a accounting headache, but it's also an operational headache, and something that we'll get into that eSIM can help to streamline and solve. Other times you may find that you're doing truck rolls in the field, or that you're physically having to swap out SIMs in your devices just to make sure that your video solutions are connecting onto the right networks. And physical SIM swaps or truck rolls, that results in lost time and money. You've got to send people out to do this work, and it can be a hassle. The other thing that many of our customers that have come to us don't appreciate until it actually happens is a network outage. And in some cases, depending on where the solutions are located around the world, network sunsets. And so network outages do happen. They happen with some of the tier one carriers. Oftentimes, they're short lived. But again, when it comes to video and when it comes to remote monitoring, these types of mission critical solutions need to always be on. The other issue that we run into are folks that have moved forward with like mobile virtual network operator types of relationships, and where they may be getting multiple carriers via a roaming profile. And roaming can work for some cellular IoT use cases, but what we found is that for video, for high data use cases, roaming just isn't optimal. Roaming does not provide that low latency, that high throughput, the network speeds that are needed for these high performance cameras and monitoring solutions. And so we'll get into this a little bit differently, but we found that native connectivity which is why a lot of customers are choosing to go direct to carriers, is really optimal. And we'll get into how eSIM can help you achieve that high performance, that low latency that's required for your solution. So these are just some of the common connectivity challenges that at least we seem to hear about as it relates to video surveillance solutions today. And so today we want to talk about how eSIM specifically can give you the freedom, the flexibility, the control, so you can go from juggling, endless carrier contracts to a single SKU, a single contract that can give you access to connect your solutions onto any network worldwide. How you can go from facing deployment complexities to achieving rapid hassle-free access to connect your solutions easily onto the networks that you need them to connect on. So that means rapid deployment of your solutions. You can go from being locked into agreements where maybe you've got minimums and it's hard to switch between different negotiated agreements, to having the freedom and control to ultimately switch dynamically between networks as you see fit. Dealing with network vulnerabilities, we talked about outages. You can go from dealing with these types of issues to ensuring ultimate reliability, ultimate redundancy for your solution. So with eSIM, and specifically eSIM from Teal, we're giving you the ability to easily connect onto any network over the air, so that you don't need to manage multiple connectivity agreements, multiple contracts, multiple SKUs. You can streamline that down to one eSIM that will give you access to connect your solutions onto any network that you see fit around the world. And that ultimately means that you can deploy your solutions faster, you can experience better reliability, more redundancy, and hopefully more cost savings, and you can streamline your operations. So some things that make Teal unique. We are one of the only, I think we're the only connectivity provider that provides native connectivity or native profiles for all three of the tier one carriers here in the United States. So T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, you can download native profiles onto the eSIMs in your devices, which essentially, if you're not familiar with native versus roaming, native means that you ultimately get the same experience as though you have that SIM from AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon in your device. So that's how you're going to experience the benefits of being on a local network, and not an away network where you're roaming. So you're going to experience lower latency, higher throughput, that performance that the carrier wants to prioritize for their subscribers. But you're going to get that benefit of switching between these tier one carriers, and you're not going to do so on a roaming profile. It's completely different. We have more network connectivity agreements in place than any other provider out there today. And one of the things that, and we'll get into this, that makes us a little bit different is that we're fully cloud based. So unlike an MVNO that's managing their data centers throughout the US or Europe or wherever, Teal's not in the business of doing that. We have a cloud-based platform that is GSMA certified, that allows you to literally click and choose the networks that you want your devices to connect to. And then you can simply download those profiles onto your eSIMs or onto the devices, over the air. So from any laptop computer, you can do this. So you can eliminate truck rolls, and we can provide that connectivity in 196 countries on thousands of networks. And so ultimately, what we're giving you, what we're giving our customers, is control. You're in control of deciding which networks make the most sense for your deployments. And you have that freedom to switch between networks if there is an outage, for instance. That's no big deal. You don't need to go and do a truck roll. You don't need to wait for the network to come back online. You can simply switch to the next best network, and we will provide that connectivity around the globe. Um, One customer that we would love to highlight, that's making waves in the remote security world is remote security solutions. And I think we touched on some of these mobile units that you see in parking lots at shopping centers and retail locations. But what makes remote security solutions unique are a few things. One, they're really focused on protecting these depots where fleets of vehicles and trucks, you can think of your rental cars, of your delivery trucks, they all have to go somewhere when they're done for the day. And they typically go to these depots where they're parked. And obviously, they face the threat of theft and other types of nefarious activity. And so, remote security solutions manages their own SOC, their own security operations center, where they provide dedicated 24/7 remote monitoring of their customers' sites. And so, if there is a criminal that comes onto one of these locations, they're quickly identified. They're able to issue audible alerts and essentially scare those people away. And if needed, they can deploy police resources and public safety officers to those locations very rapidly. There's much more to their solution than this, but the key is that they really require always on connectivity, as you can imagine, for a high tech solution like this to really function and help their customers. And so, prior to leveraging eSIM, they were leveraging connectivity agreements with multiple vendors, multiple carriers, to ensure that their solutions have that redundancy that's needed. But with eSIM, they're able to simplify that, down to one SKU that allows them to connect onto the network of their choice and know that if anything happens, if there's an outage or network vulnerability, that they can switch over to another network. And that really goes into what we were talking about earlier about solving some of those, not just connectivity and reliability challenges, but also solving some of those accounting headaches and those operational challenges that are faced by solutions like these. And this can go across into, we work with BVLOS drone companies. In some cases, they have 5 modems and 5 different SIM slots when they come to Teal, just so they can have 5 different SIM cards that can connect onto different networks if needed. And with a true eSIM platform like Teal, that's just not needed. You can choose to have multiple eSIMs in your solution, but ultimately you can rely on one SKU that can connect your solutions onto any network globally. So a lot of times we get asked how Teal is different than a mobile virtual network operator because oftentimes people assume that Teal is an MVNO, but we're not. And I'll be very crystal in how we're not. But first, I really want to just address the fact that Teal's not in competition with the mobile network operators. We are partners with the carriers. I mentioned earlier that we're the only provider that has those native profiles, that native connectivity on a tier one carriers like T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. We also have those types of relationship with Rogers in Canada, for instance, or Telcel in Mexico, or other tier one carriers in Europe and around the globe. And so that's really critical for what we call mission critical use cases, and video surveillance falls into that category of a solution that requires always on connectivity, and high performance network connectivity at that. Teal, unlike an MVNO, I think I mentioned that we're not operating our own data centers, our own infrastructure, and so we're not routing data or traffic from an operator through a data center ultimately to you. With Teal, you're treated as though you're one of the operator subscribers, so you're going like direct. It's like a direct to carrier relationship, but you have that added optionality, that added freedom to switch between networks if you need to. Teal, unlike an MVNO, we are not in the business of data arbitrage. So we aren't selling off of a carrier's rate card. We're not a middleman, is another way to put it. We again connect you directly onto the network of your choice. Rather, you connect your solutions onto the network of your choice. You're in control with Teal. A lot of MVNOs offer multi-IMSI solutions or SIMs that have different IMSIs burned onto them. And while that provides some optionality, they're ultimately static. And so to make any changes, you either need to go to the MVNO, who then has to go to the operator, or you need to fully replace that SIM that you're utilizing. That's different than what true programmable eSIM is, what Teal provides. With Teal, you can get a standard SIM card, or it can be embedded, or we're also built for iSIM for the future. What really makes us different is that it's not a static solution with Teal. You have that programmatic capability to switch between networks, to connect on and off of networks as you choose. You're not limited to a subset of IMSIs or networks that your solutions can connect to. So you're in complete control. You do not have this single point of failure. You don't need to worry about an MVNO's data center going down, or latency issues with flowing traffic from an MNO to an MVNO data center, ultimately to your solutions. And all of this really does matter for mission critical use cases. Like remote monitoring, like video surveillance, like we're talking about today. So just to sum things up, Teal is complementary to mobile network operators. MNOs, they're our friends. We've worked really diligently on establishing these relationships over the years with the largest carriers in the world. We give you the ultimate freedom and control that MVNOs just can't, because they tend to be static, limited types of solutions. One thing I should mention, Teal is the first US based company to be certified by the GSMA for our eSIM technology. We are built for the future for IoT at scale. If you guys have read about SGP32, we will support that with our partners, our SIM suppliers like IDEMIA and Keegan, for instance. And ultimately, we put you in the driver's seat. You get to steer the car wherever you like, meaning you get to choose which networks your devices are connecting onto. And I like to say this because I'm in marketing, but you don't have to take our word for it. We have a number of case studies that are available on our website. I put a link here on this slide where you can learn how various companies across different industries are taking advantage of eSIM technology, and how we're helping them save time, save money, and ultimately achieve that reliability and control that they're looking for. So getting started is super easy. You can go to teal.io. We would love to set a time for you to meet with one of our experts. And that's as simple as just sending us an email. You can also just simply order some eSIMs online on our website. We post our pricing. We don't hide behind any pricing. It's very straightforward. Our data rates are very competitive. And depending on your volume, what's posted on our website obviously is a starting point. If you have volume and you want to negotiate on pricing, that's something that we can do as well. And ultimately, you get to choose which networks you can connect your devices onto, and you can manage or change these network profiles over the air as needed, and that gives you that redundancy that you're looking for. So thank you all again for attending today's session. I would love for those on the call, if there are any questions, I'd love to open it up for a Q&A session. And I'm obviously the marketing guy here at Teal. And if for some reason I'm unable to address your questions today, I'll definitely make sure that I can connect you with the right person within our organization, so that we can get you the answers that you need. So feel free to just use the chat and input any questions if you have any. I'll give you a second to do that. In some remote areas, do we work with some of the smaller carriers? Absolutely, yes, we do. What depending on where you're located, we don't just work with the tier one carriers. We work with various carriers all over the world. Even here in North America, you know, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T aren't always available. Um, ComNet and Viero, small carriers. That's definitely something I can look into and get back to you on, Eric. Um, so I'll let me just make a note on that. And the other thing too is if for some reason we don't um, have those networks available via our dashboard, our connectivity management platform. We're always looking to add new ones, but my guess is that we probably do have these available, but I want to double check on that for you. Any other questions? Absolutely. Okay, well, if anything does come up and sparks are, if you forgot to ask a question and something comes up, I'm putting my email in the chat here. Definitely feel free to reach out to me directly, or you can just shoot an email to our general inbox, and we'll definitely be able to get back to you with some answers. But again, thank you for attending today's webinar, and we look forward to learning how we can potentially help your organization streamline your operations with eSIM technology.